Let's talk about the diseconomies of scale. It's not the case always that the increase in the scale of operations will cause the average cost to fall. There are certain situations when the increase in the scale of operations might lead to the increase in the cost of production, to increase in the average cost of business to. That situation is called diseconomies of scale. Diseconomies of scale are the factors that cause average cost of production to rise when the scale of operation is increased. Now let's talk about what diseconomies of scale a business might face. They'll start from the communication problems. This is the first and foremost diseconomy of scale that every large business faces almost. Large scale operation will often lead to poor feedback from the workers. As a result of that, worker will not know, the seniors will not know what workers are thinking about and what problems they are facing. Similarly, excessive use of non-personal communication media, communication overload, lots of messages being sent to the workers, and distortion of messages caused by the communication problems. They all lead to the communication problems. As a result of that, the productivity of business becomes lower. It also reduces the information to the workers, all the information, although there is information overload sometimes, but workers are unable to extract what exactly they have to do. The communication that is having a lot of noise in that, all that scenarios will lead to the communication failures, and that will ultimately raise the cost of operations of business. The second problem is worker alienation. The bigger is the organization, the more difficult it becomes to directly involve every worker and to give them a sense of purpose and achievement at their work, because the number of workers is too much, too high, and you cannot go to every individual worker and inform him what are you doing, okay, you are doing great and all that. It becomes really difficult with the passive time. Okay, what results? This may feel so insignificant to overall business plan, and they become demotivated to fail. As a result of that, they are unable to give best of them because of this demotivation problem. Uh, in the larger manufacturing business, especially, we are opting flow production technique. Everybody is coming, fulfilling his job, living. So there are no direct contact with the worker. As a result of that, they get a lot of demotivated, and they sometimes do not work up to their standards. That increase the cost of business. The third one is related to the communication again. That is called poor coordination. Okay, whenever the business expands, it is associated with the growing number of departments, products, range of products, the number of countries in which business is operating, for example, that is also increasing. So what happens that the senior management themselves fail to coordinate between them and control these operations. The interdepartmental communication and coordination becomes slow, sometimes even the interdepartmental communication becomes zero. Coordination really means that all divisions of the business are aiming to achieve the same objective by adopting similar ethical standards, but it becomes impossible with such large organizations. As a result of that, the average cost of business increases. If we draw it in economics only, but still, if we draw it, the average cost of the firms look like this. We call it long run average cost. We have drawn units of production here, and we have drawn the costs here. We see on this cost curve that initially with the increase in the units of production, the cost falls. This is what we call economies of scale. But after that, with the units of cost increase, the average cost, unit of production increase, the average cost starts to increasing. This is called diseconomies of scale. So a business faces both conditions. It faces economies of scale when average cost is falling, and it faces the diseconomies of scale when the average cost is increasing. The question is, are diseconomies avoidable? क्या ऐसे businesses हो सकते हैं जहां पे diseconomies हो ही ना? The answer is yes to some extent. If we move to a policy that is called MBO that we have already studied in unit 1.4, management by objective. Okay, management by objective, what happens, this assess the coordination problems, this assess to address the coordination problems by giving each divisions and departments agreed objective to work together. If every department has agreed objective to work, this is called management by objective. So every department will be moving in the similar direction. As a result of that, the problem will be somehow or the other resolved. Okay, decentralization is another solution. Decentralization is a situation when we give departments to take their own departments the authority to take their own decisions. If departments take their own decision, if branches take their own decision, this is called decentralization. Head office reduces their control over the departments and branches. As a result of that, the problem of diseconomy of scale might be resolved. Another thing that we can do is the reduce diversification. Diseconomies happen when business try to produce more and more goods. When business try to produce more range of goods and all that, if because the business is new in that range of goods, the average cost of business might increase because of less experiences. But if business produce only those goods that are already in which business is experienced and things like that, there are lesser likely chances that average cost of business will rise, and this will resolve the problem of diseconomy of scale. So this was concept of diseconomies.